What if I told you that the very first thing you do in the morning could determine the entire course of your day and maybe even the direction of your life? Think about it. Most people wake up, reach for their phone, and before their feet even touch the floor, their minds are already hijacked. Notifications, messages, social media, the latest news, they hand over their focus, their peace, and their power before they've even taken a deep breath. And once you start the day like this, you spend the rest of it chasing after clarity you already gave away. But here's the truth, you don't have to live like that. There's a small percentage of people, just 1%, who begin their mornings differently. They don't wake up into chaos. They wake up into command. No endless scrolling, no frantic rushing, no reacting to the world before they've grounded themselves. Instead, they create silence, presence, and intention. And because of that, they don't just own the morning. They own the day. They lead it. They guide it. And eventually they lead their entire lives with strength and clarity. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Notice his words. Privilege, not habit, not routine, privilege. But here's the sobering reality. Very few people treat their mornings this way. They forget that each morning is a gift, a sacred space, a kingdom you can either rule or surrender. And those who surrender it to noise, to distraction, to emotional chaos, spend the rest of their day chasing after their time, their peace, their purpose. But those who claim their mornings, who stand firm in that first hour, step into life with a power that cannot be taken away. They command their thoughts instead of being commanded by them. They choose their actions instead of being pulled by impulses. And they shape their destiny one deliberate choice at a time. The question is, which one will you be? The one who wakes up and gives away your strength before the sun even rises? Or the one who wakes up like a warrior of the mind, ready to live with clarity, discipline, and purpose? This is your call to rise above the ordinary, to step into that 1%. Not because you are better than others, but because you are no longer willing to be worse than your own potential. Every morning is your chance to claim your crown. The only question left is, will you rule your morning or will you let it rule you? Secret 1. Anchor your morning with a Stoic reminder. The first hour of the morning is fragile. Your mind has just awakened from rest, open and impressionable, and it will absorb whatever you feed it. If the first thing you give it is distraction, noise, or negativity, that energy will set the tone for the rest of the day. But if you choose to anchor your mind with a principle of truth, a Stoic reminder that cuts through the chaos, you immediately reclaim your power. You don't drift into the day, you step into it with clarity. Think about this. Every morning, the average person wakes up and instantly forgets who they want to be. The emails, the messages, the to-do list waiting in the corner of their mind, it all rushes in and drowns out their deeper intentions. But the Stoics approached life differently. They didn't leave their mornings to chance. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote daily in his meditations, not to impress the world, but to remind himself how to live with calm strength. He knew that identity is fragile at dawn, and that it must be anchored before the world tries to pull it away. Linda, a corporate leader in New York, learned this the hard way. For years, she let her mornings belong to everyone else. Her inbox, her team, her family, the constant demands. She would wake up already behind, already reactive, already stressed. But then she made one small change. Before she checked a single message, she repeated one stoic truth out loud. I do not control what happens, only how I respond. Suddenly, the entire frame of her day shifted. Meetings that once left her overwhelmed became opportunities to practice composure. Conflicts that used to rattle her became chances to respond with intention. That one reminder anchored her to who she wanted to be, not who circumstances tried to force her to become. The principle is simple but profound. If you don't tell your mind where to go in the morning, it will wander, and a wandering mind will be captured by distraction. But when you speak a grounding truth, you train your mind to obey you, not the world. It doesn't have to be 100 affirmations. Just one. One reminder that you are more than your impulses, stronger than your moods, and capable of living with wisdom. Maybe yours is, this day is a gift, I will not waste it. Or perhaps, what matters most is not what I achieve, but how I carry myself. Choose one and repeat it until it echoes in your actions. Over time, this becomes your armor. Life will still throw storms your way, but instead of being swept up, you will remain steady, anchored to truth. That is the power of beginning your day like a stoic, not chasing control of the world, but claiming control of yourself. Secret 2. Face the day before it begins. Life rarely unfolds the way we plan. You can wake up with your calendar perfectly organized, your mindset strong, and your energy high, and still something will go wrong. A careless comment from a colleague, an unexpected delay in traffic, a piece of bad news in your inbox before 9 a.m. And for most people, that's enough to ruin the rest of the day. But the Stoics had a wiser approach. They didn't wait to be surprised by difficulty. They trained themselves to expect it. This practice has a name in Stoic philosophy. Premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It sounds dark at first, but it isn't about pessimism. It's about preparation. Seneca once wrote, "He robs present ills of their power, who has perceived their coming beforehand." In other words, when you've already imagined the challenge, it can't knock you down with the same force. You've rehearsed it. You've taken away its ability to shock you. Think of John, a software engineer from Boston. Every morning before heading into work, he takes a moment to mentally preview his day. He tells himself, the server might crash, the clients may get frustrated, my manager might push me harder than I expect. At first, this might sound like a negative mindset, but notice what he does next. He imagines how he will respond, calmly, patiently, with clarity. And because he has already rehearsed that moment in his mind, when it actually happens, he doesn't explode in frustration. He responds like someone who has been there before. Now ask yourself, how often do you let small disruptions destroy your peace? How often do you get caught off guard by something that, if you're honest, you could have predicted? Traffic will happen. Miscommunication will happen. Technology will fail. The Stoics remind us, don't fear these things, anticipate them. Because when you anticipate, you create a space between the event and your reaction. And in that space lies your power. Here's a simple practice you can adopt tomorrow morning. Right after you wake up, take 1 minute to ask yourself, what challenges might I face today? What emotions could rise up that I need to keep in check? How would the best version of me respond to them? Write them down or rehearse them silently in your mind. It doesn't take long, but it transforms the way you carry yourself. When life tests you, and it will, you won't be blindsided. You'll remain steady, not because you avoided hardship, but because you prepared for it. That is what separates the Stoic from the ordinary. The ordinary reacts, the Stoic responds. And when you learn to face the day before it begins, you step into it with a calm that feels almost unshakable. Secret 3. Wake up with discipline, not motivation. Most people wait for the right feeling before they act. They wait for motivation to strike, for inspiration to kick in, for that inner spark that tells them, now is the time. But here's the truth. If you live like that, you'll be waiting far too often and wasting far too much of your life. The Stoics understood something most of us forget. Discipline is greater than motivation. Discipline moves even when motivation is nowhere to be found. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being." It's a simple reminder, but hidden within it is a profound truth. Life is not meant to be slept through. Life is meant to be engaged with, fully, even when you don't feel like it. Take Michael, a former Marine who lives in Chicago. For years, he set his alarm for 5 a.m., and without fail, he rose as soon as it rang. No snooze button, no negotiation, no inner debate. He called it his first battle of the day. And by winning that battle, everything else fell into place. His workout wasn't skipped. His focus stayed sharp. His sense of control carried into every meeting, every decision, every interaction. That small act of discipline gave him a foundation of strength that motivation alone could never provide. Now think about your own mornings. How many times have you hit snooze and told yourself, just 5 more minutes? How many times have you delayed the very first decision of your day and then felt the weight of that delay carry over into everything else? Each time you do that, you're casting a silent vote for the weaker version of yourself. But when you rise with discipline, you cast a vote for the stronger one. You're not just waking up, you're shaping your identity. That's what Stoicism is really about. Identity-based living. It's not about waiting until you feel like a disciplined person. It's about acting like one, especially when you don't feel like it. Because the moment you prove to yourself that your mind is stronger than your mood, something shifts inside you. Your body obeys your will. Your energy follows your decision. Even on the days when you're tired or unmotivated, you rise because you said you would. And that builds trust with yourself. Once you trust yourself, your confidence multiplies. So here's the challenge. Set a consistent wake-up time and treat it like a sacred promise. When the alarm rings, don't hesitate. Stand up immediately. Say something powerful to yourself. Even something simple like, "The day is mine." Because if you can defeat the soft voice in your head at 5 a.m., you can defeat it anywhere. Discipline, not motivation, is what separates those who drift from those who lead. And it all begins the moment you decide to rise. Secret. Rehearse the person you want to become. Every morning you are presented with a choice to fall back into the patterns of yesterday or to rise into the person you want to be today. The Stoics understood that who you are becoming is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of practice. And one of the most powerful practices they used was mental rehearsal. The conscious act of imagining how you would live in alignment with your values before the day even begins. Think about it. Most people wake up and step straight into their habits. If they usually get frustrated in traffic, they will. If they typically snap at their coworkers, they will. If they often waste time scrolling, they will. Why? Because they haven't given their mind a new script to follow. But the Stoic refuses to live on autopilot. Instead, they visualize how the best version of themselves would respond to the day ahead. Take Sarah, a teacher in California. Every morning before she steps into her classroom, she takes a moment to picture herself handling the chaos of noisy students. She imagines herself staying calm, steady, and patient, even when the room feels overwhelming. And when the noise inevitably rises, she doesn't react with irritation. She simply follows the script she already rehearsed in her mind. What once triggered her now becomes a stage where she practices patience. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And isn't that true? We waste time not just in empty distractions, but in living without intention, drifting through the day as a passenger instead of a driver. Mental rehearsal is how you stop wasting. It's how you start living deliberately, step by step, response by response. Now ask yourself, if someone filmed you today, would you be proud of what they captured? Would your words reflect your values? Would your reactions show strength or weakness? These are not questions to make you feel guilty. They are invitations to choose. And the place to make that choice is in the morning, before the world demands anything from you. Here's how you can try it tomorrow. Take 5 minutes and imagine the key moments ahead. See yourself walking into work with calm energy. Picture yourself choosing patience when you normally would lose it. Visualize speaking with confidence instead of doubt. You're not pretending, you're practicing, and when the moment comes, your mind will already know what to do. Over time, these rehearsals shape your identity. You stop living by accident and start living with purpose. You become the person who remains calm in chaos, steady under pressure, strong in the face of fear. That is what the Stoics meant by living according to nature, aligning your actions with your highest self. And it all begins each morning when you choose to rehearse not the life you fear, but the person you aspire to become. Secret 5. Win the first hour with silence. The first hour of the day determines everything that follows. Yet for most people, it begins in chaos. They roll over, grab their phone, and before they've even taken their first breath of morning air, their mind is consumed by noise. Notifications, emails, headlines, endless scrolling. By the time their feet touch the floor, they've already lost. Their focus is gone. Their peace has been stolen. And their day doesn't belong to them anymore. It belongs to the world. But the Stoics knew a better way. They understood that silence is not emptiness, it is power. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things." In other words, don't worry if others think your practice of silence looks strange. Don't worry if people say you're wasting time by sitting still. That silence is where your strength is forged. Take David, an artist in Seattle. For years, he began his mornings just like everyone else, buried in his phone, comparing his life to others, feeling behind before the day even began. His creativity dried up. His energy felt scattered. But then he tried something different. He gave himself 15 minutes of silence at the start of every morning. No music, no messages, no distractions. Just breathing, noticing his thoughts, and letting them pass. And something remarkable happened. His mind started to clear. Ideas began to flow again. That stillness became the wellspring of his creativity, not the barrier to it. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you started your day in true silence? When was the last time you gave your mind a chance to breathe before handing it over to the chaos of the world? Most people underestimate how soft and open the mind is in the morning. It absorbs whatever you feed it first. If you feed it noise, you carry that noise with you all day. But if you feed it silence, you carry calm, focus, and clarity instead. Here's a simple practice to try tomorrow. Before you touch your phone, sit quietly for just 10 minutes. Close your eyes. Pay attention to your breath. Ask yourself one question. What energy do I want to bring into this day? That one act of stillness can change everything. You'll find yourself less reactive, more creative, and steadier, even when challenges come later. Silence is not about doing nothing. It is about making space for everything that matters. It is the foundation of clarity, of discipline, of inner strength. And when you win the first hour with silence, you don't just protect your morning, you protect your entire day. Secret 6, master your mind before the world enters. Every morning, your mind is like a clean slate, but the question is, who gets to write on it first? For most people, the answer is strangers on the internet, breaking news, or someone else's drama. They wake up, check their phone, and instantly surrender their thoughts to the world. And from that moment forward, they're not leading their minds, they're being led. The Stoics would call this slavery of the spirit, but you were not born to be a slave to moods, triggers, or distractions. You were born to lead your mind like a king leads his kingdom, with clarity, patience, and discipline. That's why the practice of reflection or journaling can be such a powerful weapon in the first few minutes of your day. Seneca once wrote, "A man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is." In other words, your unhappiness isn't caused by the world. It's caused by the stories you tell yourself about the world. And journaling is how you rewrite those stories. Emily, a nurse in Chicago, discovered this during one of the hardest seasons of her life. She was overwhelmed by long shifts, endless emergencies, and the emotional weight of caring for others. Every morning she felt drained before the day even started. Then she began a simple routine. Before her shift, she sat down for 5 minutes and wrote 3 things she was grateful for. 1 thing she wanted to let go of, and 1 virtue she would practice that day: patience, courage, or discipline. That small act of reflection changed everything. She walked into the hospital not as someone bracing for chaos, but as someone already grounded in clarity. Now ask yourself, how often do you let the world decide your mood before you even decide it for yourself? How many times have you carried yesterday's frustrations into today just because you never paused to let them go? Reflection is how you draw a line in the sand. It's how you say, "This is who I am. This is how I will live today." The practice doesn't need to be complicated. Take a pen and paper. Ask yourself, what am I grateful for? What do I need to release? What virtue will I carry today? Write a few honest lines. It doesn't matter how messy or short. What matters is that you're telling your mind where to go before the world pulls it elsewhere. When you do this consistently, you'll notice a shift. You catch your own triggers before they control you. You see your thoughts with more clarity. You react less emotionally and choose better responses faster. This is how the Stoics built their inner strength, not by ignoring emotions, but by examining them, understanding them, and choosing wiser ones. So tomorrow morning, before you let the world in, master your mind first. Because if you don't, someone else will. Secret 7. Move the body to activate the mind. The Stoics understood something that modern science continues to confirm. Your body and mind are not separate. They are partners. If the body is weak, sluggish, and lazy, the mind will follow. But if the body is energized, disciplined, and strong, the mind rises with it. That's why movement in the morning is not about chasing perfect abs or showing off on social media. It's about sending a message to yourself. I am here to lead, not to hide. Marcus Aurelius once asked, "Is this what you were made for? To huddle under the blankets and keep warm?" That question wasn't about guilt. It was a challenge, a reminder that the body was designed for action, not comfort. The Stoics saw physical exertion as training for the soul. By disciplining the body, they were also disciplining the will. And that's exactly what we need in a world that constantly tempts us with ease. Take Robert, a lawyer in Boston. His job demands endless hours of focus, negotiations, and mental endurance. For years, he struggled to stay sharp. He'd wake up groggy, go straight to coffee, and by the time he reached the office, he already felt drained. Then he made one small but deliberate change. Every morning, before checking emails or rushing to court, he ran for 20 minutes. At first, it felt like a burden, but soon he noticed something powerful. His energy doubled, his focus sharpened, and the stress that once crushed him began to fade. That short run became his ritual of self-respect, a declaration that his body would not be a prison, but a vehicle for discipline. Now ask yourself, what's the first message you send your body in the morning? Do you tell it to stay soft, to cling to comfort, to resist effort? Or do you tell it to rise, to move, to embrace challenge? Every push-up, every stretch, every brisk walk in the cold morning air is not just exercise. It's identity. It's proof that you do hard things even when you don't feel like it. And that's the kind of proof that transforms your life. Here's the truth. You don't need a 2-hour workout to change your state. You just need momentum. 10 minutes of movement is enough. A few stretches, a walk in silence, a set of push-ups, even splashing cold water on your face. What matters is not intensity. What matters is intention. Movement in the morning is your way of telling the world, I am awake, I am disciplined, I am ready. When you conquer your body, even in small ways, you set the tone for conquering your day. And most people haven't even opened their eyes yet. Secret 8. Practice gratitude the moment you wake. Every morning when you open your eyes, you are given something priceless, life itself. But here's the problem. Most of us forget that. We treat waking up as routine, as ordinary, when in truth it's the greatest gift we'll ever receive. The Stoics never took life for granted. To them, each day was not owed, it was borrowed. Each sunrise was a reminder that we've been handed another chance, another moment to live, to act, to love. Gratitude was not just a feeling for them, it was a discipline. Because gratitude reframes everything. Without it, you focus on what's missing. With it, you recognize that even the smallest things, your breath, your body, your loved ones, are privileges. When you begin your morning with gratitude, you shift the foundation of your day from stress and scarcity to abundance and peace. Take Jessica, a single mother in Texas. Life for her has never been easy. Long hours, financial stress, and the constant pressure of raising a child alone could have easily broken her spirit. And for years, she carried the weight of that struggle every morning, waking up already tired, already anxious. But then she created a ritual. Each morning before touching her phone or rushing into the day, she would sit quietly for 2 minutes, look at her daughter still asleep, and whisper to herself, "Today I have another chance to love." That one act changed the way she carried herself. The stress didn't vanish, but the heaviness lifted. Gratitude gave her strength. Now think about your own mornings. How often do you wake up complaining about what you lack instead of appreciating what you already have? How often do you race into the day without pausing to notice the miracle that you're alive at all? Gratitude isn't about ignoring problems. It's about remembering the gifts that make facing those problems worthwhile. Here's a simple practice to try tomorrow. Before you leave your bed, name 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. The warmth of your blanket, the sound of birds outside, the fact that you woke up breathing. Write them down if you can, or simply say them out loud. This anchors your mind in abundance before the world tries to drown you in noise. Gratitude doesn't just make you feel good, it transforms the way you live. It calms the nervous system, reduces stress, and sharpens focus. More importantly, it realigns you with what matters. When you start the day grateful, every challenge feels smaller, every opportunity feels larger, and every moment feels like a gift. The Stoics knew that life is short, but gratitude makes it wide. So tomorrow, before you rush, pause, breathe, give thanks. Because each morning you wake, you've been handed a treasure, and the wisest thing you can do is notice it. Secret 9. Begin the day with a small act of kindness. The Stoics believe that we live most fully when we live not only for ourselves, but for something greater. True strength is not measured by how much we take, but by how much we give. And the simplest way to embody this truth is by beginning your morning with a small act of kindness. It doesn't have to be grand, it doesn't have to cost money, and it doesn't even have to take much time. What matters is the intention, to start the day in service, not in selfishness. Daniel, a college student in Denver, discovered this practice almost by accident. Every morning before diving into his studies, he took 60 seconds to send a text message to a friend, a classmate, or a family member. Sometimes it was as simple as, "I hope today is lighter for you," or "You've got this, I believe in you." At first it seemed small, almost insignificant, but over time he noticed a change, not just in those who received his words, but in himself. He walked into the day with a lighter heart, with a sense of purpose bigger than exams and deadlines. That single act of giving shifted the entire direction of his morning. Now ask yourself, how often do you start the day thinking only about what you need, what you want, what you're missing? What would happen if, instead, you began by asking, "What can I give today?" Imagine the ripple effect if the first energy you release into the world is one of generosity. That energy doesn't just stay out there, it returns, magnified, strengthening your spirit. The Stoics remind us that our highest calling is to live in harmony with others, to contribute to the greater whole. A small act of kindness in the morning is like planting a seed. It may look tiny, but it grows into something that shapes the way you carry yourself through the rest of the day. It anchors you in compassion, softens your reactions, and reminds you that you are more than your struggles. You are a source of light for others. Here's the challenge. Tomorrow morning, before you open your inbox, before you scroll the news, choose one act of kindness. Write a note of encouragement. Send a message of gratitude. Hold the door for someone with a genuine smile. It doesn't matter how small. What matters is that you begin with giving. Because when you start your morning focus only on yourself, the world feels heavy. But when you start it by lifting someone else, you rise too. And that is the Stoic way, to live each day not just for your own gain, but as a contribution to the lives around you. One small act of kindness, practiced daily, can transform not just your morning, but your entire life. Every morning is more than just the beginning of a new day. It is the foundation on which the rest of your life is built. If you don't take command of those early hours, someone else will. The chaos of the world, the noise of technology, and the demands of others will seize your focus before you have even had a chance to breathe. But when you step into your mornings with intention, when you shape them with discipline and clarity, you don't just change your morning, you change your entire life. That is why the Stoics treated the morning as sacred. They knew it was the training ground for the soul, the place where discipline, calm, and inner strength are forged. And across time, their wisdom still holds true. The 9 Stoic morning secrets are not tricks or hacks. They are timeless practices that build a foundation of character and resilience. Anchor your day with a Stoic reminder so you don't forget who you are. Face the day before it begins, so life cannot knock you off balance. Wake with discipline, not motivation, so you shape your identity with action. Rehearse the person you want to become, so you live intentionally, not reactively. Win the first hour with silence, so you protect your clarity. Master your mind before the world enters, so you lead your thoughts instead of being led. Move your body to activate your mind, so discipline flows through your entire being. Practice gratitude the moment you wake, so you carry peace into everything you do. And finally, begin with a small act of kindness, so your life expands beyond yourself. These are not heavy burdens. They are small, deliberate choices. One step each morning, one practice at a time. And yet, each of them creates a ripple that touches the rest of your day, your energy, your relationships, your work, your sense of purpose. The Stoics weren't waiting for motivation or perfection. They were practicing every day, becoming who they wanted to be. And so can you. So here is the question you must ask yourself. Will you continue to let your morning slip away, stolen by distraction, comfort, and noise? Or will you claim them, protect them, and transform them into a source of strength? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Even one small change to your morning can change the trajectory of your life. If this message spoke to you, let it be the moment you choose differently. Take these Stoic secrets and put one into practice tomorrow morning. And if you found value here, share this with someone you care about, so they too can rise into the best version of themselves. Like this video, leave a comment with the practice you'll begin with, and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom to guide your journey. Because when you master your morning, you don't just win the day, you win your life.